Oh, hey.
What are we clapping at?
Well, it's just the new Britney Spears concert.
The new Britney Spears concert.
Yeah,
I didn't know she was touring.
she never stopped.
She definitely stopped.
Anyways,
Yeah, leave Britney alone.
it looks like today's note says, attention, read out loud exactly what is written on this note or be destroyed and replaced.
Yeah, Britney hater.
Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips, the show where we are forced to talk about D&D, or else. Friend, today we're going to talk about the highest CR encounter in D&D. A new player joining your table.
Oh.
Speaking of which, are you new here?
Oh.
This is Caffeine and Cantrips, the show where we're forced to talk about D&D, or else. I'm Sean. He's Byron. We don't always introduce ourselves, but you're new here. So get comfortable, make new friends, be happy, live a meaningful life.
Oh, wow.
Join us as we make the best part of D&D even better. Welcome to the table.
Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips. Once again, thanks for joining us here today. Our topic is having a new person join your table.
What?
Not a new person necessarily, but a new person joining your table who's maybe interested in the hobby or has played a bunch somewhere else and is now joining your table. Or maybe it's at your weekly LGS, local gaming store.
Yeah, I was like, what's LGS?
What's that? And now you've got a new face.
Lovely game supplements.
Yeah. Where you would get at your local game store. I think that this is an interesting topic that once again we bypass and we just kind of fly right on by when we start considering things to make our D&D game better. But new people is a way of making your game better. More experiences, more stories, more characters.
Yes,
more
adding something
friends.
that wasn't there before.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Looking for that secret sauce
Little
ingredients.
Some.
So for me, I think
That's you. You're the secret sauce.
I think that, like, no matter how much you break down this conversation, I would, because I do love this. Yeah. I think it breaks down into 3 C's. Because I love my alliteration and I love my three points. Careful. It's communication, community, and cohesion. I think those are the 3 main things.
Okay.
That we had, and because I talk so much, I have lots to talk about for each of those, and so I think I want to break into communication as the first thing that I want to talk about.
Okay.
It's really important when we're considering a new person coming to the table.
Yes.
Okay, and
It's important for almost everything,
yes,
but especially
for this.
Yeah.
And so I think this is like I said before, this is another story to tell, right?
yes.
Yeah, and to kind of start us off properly here, I do believe if you are not metagaming when you do this, you're doing it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like there's a bunch of YouTube channels out there that solely focus on terrible D&D stories or terrible things that happen during D&D. Yeah, so if you're not metagaming, you're doing it wrong.
Right? Metagaming is good for the game. Prove me wrong.
Definitely can be. Definitely can be. So, communication. We need to start off by discussing with the current group that there is an opening that we want to fill. Right? Something has happened, life happens, scheduling happens. It's the 13th tiefling in a row from the guy that always wears a hood. Sometimes we have an opening.
Okay.
Yeah, we just call him Hood Guy. Anyway, he's great. A little edgy. But when we have this opening, there needs to be a discussion that you want to... So careful. That the group as a whole, because we're all players, we want to include somebody else to come in and fill this position.
Yes.
Right? Whether it's, I always prefer to have my games running between 4 and 6 players, and this has been a 6-person campaign, so we want to keep it at 6 because all my balancing, I want to keep it the same. Or maybe it's just like, hey guys, I got a friend and I know we always have 4 people here, but I think they would be a really good addition, guy or gal, to come to the table and really add something to what's going on.
Okay.
Is there a position open for a new player to fill?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even if somebody goes on maternity leave, because that's a thing. I don't know if it's maternity leave for D&D, but there should
Parental
be. The government
leave.
should definitely, parental leave should pay for that. I endorse that.
Absolutely.
It'll be in my campaign platform when I run for office.
Yeah.
But when we get into this, we need to have a session 0.
Another one.
Another one, a supplemental session 0 plus 1.
Right. You're talking about if they're joining sort of mid-session here.
If they're joining mid-session.
Or mid-campaign. Mid-campaign, sorry.
Yeah.
Mid-session.
Mid.
Don't be late, guys. Mid-campaign.
Yeah. All right, we got to stop because chips are here. It's something that is a big change to the game. So whether this is a person leaving and then a person filling in or a person being added, this is such a big change to the fundamental at the table that there should be a session 0 or at least a discussion that really brings everyone in so that everyone can share their opinion and their voice on this.
Well, obviously, because session 0 are so important anyways.
Yes.
That if they're coming in mid-campaign, they've missed out on that session 0.
Right.
Right.
And sometimes we have a different perspective on what a new player mid-campaign needs to bring to the table and needs to be accepted with, rather than someone who started the campaign.
Right.
So perhaps, hey, we've gone through a few arcs, we were brand new, and now we're not comfortable having to be relied upon as like a person to teach another new person. Maybe we don't want a brand new person to come in because we don't feel that we're strong enough to support that person. Or vice versa. Hey, we don't want like an optimizer to come in because we're a really slow-paced role-playing group.
Right.
So we need to identify, much like a job ad, right? Like what we're looking for as a group to fill this position now that we've agreed that there needs to be one.
Right.
So expectations, concerns, any adjustments that need to be at the table. Hey, it'd be really good if we had somebody who wants to play a healer. So tired of all the fighter parties. Maybe, maybe not, right? There's a lot of things that could go into that discussion when we're deciding that we do want it and we do want to fill it. Not good, not bad. This is just setting the expectations so that everybody is on the same page as far as the communication goes.
And ensuring a good fit with the table. Really,
absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And ensuring that good fit makes sure that everyone, like I said, has a clear understanding of what's going on. We're utilizing those communication skills as players working together to create that really good environment. And then we know what to add into there to make it even better.
Okay.
Right? Additionally, once you've decided that you want somebody to come in because they've met your rubric and or they've met compliance or acceptance.
Compliance.
At my table.
You must comply.
You must. There is potentially then again another session 0 or another moment that we need to have with this new person.
Yes.
Right? Make sure that they fit. Make sure that they're comfortable. Make sure that they don't have any of their own red flags that the group doesn't meet. Right? Because we need to look at this as a two-way street. This is
like an interview.
This isn't just demands, right? This is a meeting of minds. This is going to be potentially a group of friends that grows from this, right? So it's an important investment of your time, and it is a hobby. It is a pastime. It's something that we want to enjoy.
Yeah.
So let's enjoy it. With that comes all the stuff that you guys have added into your game to make it your game that isn't in the books.
So much.
Right? So introduction to gameplay mechanics is something important as well. Beyond the fact that you don't really know how they play because they're a stranger, or maybe you only kind of vaguely know of them, or this is a person that you played with once at your local gaming store and now you want to bring them back to your home game, right? Good for you. This is a point when you're having kind of that session 0 inclusive of this person to talk about the mechanics. Go through and see where that person's skill level is. Are they a beginner? Do you need to explain what a D4 is?
Right.
Right? Maybe they're a wonderful storyteller. They just don't know the system. Or they play other systems all the time. They're all Call of Cthulhu. Don't touch that book. But now we're playing D&D and there's a whole different kind of understanding.
They've played second ed for like a dozen odd years. Right now
what
they're
do you
going
mean
to
your armor's
fifth
not negative?
Right.
You guys are terrible at this.
You guys use D12s?
So all the way from like what a die is to like how does a counterspell stack work? How do conjuration wizards, break the game entirely? Maybe just how silvery barbs change everything.
Right.
Or how to use an extra attack feature. Whatever it is, right? Let's go and see how the player handles and knows what's going on and how to then best integrate them. Whether you're the DM or another player, right? You're like, oh, okay, I've played a fighter before. I can help you.
Right. And everyone has house rules too, right? That
everybody's got something, whether it's as simple as kind of the well accepted ones like bonus action potions, or you're talking about major overhauls of like equipment, weapons, how they're handled. Maybe you've brought in some of those D&D 1 rules that have been play tested out. Right. Because it's still the same system. I'm not biased. Not biased. But Mike, it is definitely 1-0. It's definitely something that you need to talk about and familiarizing them and yourself with a common language or common game terminology is super important to make sure that you're on the same page. What do you mean everyone gets to be a wizard for free? In addition to any class that they pick.
Right.
Oh, that's an interesting. I never thought of this before. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Whatever your table has, it's good to share that. Right. Going along with that, now that they're going to be creating a character because they understand the rules and whether or not they understand the character creation process and how much help they need, you got to have that out in that session 0 as well. What do you guys feel would be great? Do you care if the party is balanced? Do we need a role filled? Have you found that through your play that there's something lacking that maybe this person can fill if they want to? Right? What kind of character is that? Offer guidance and support during the character creation. From a DM's perspective, DM Byron.
Okay.
I definitely think that there is a push here to just get them to write their character and get them playing.
Yes. Well, we're so excited to get a new player anyways, usually, right? So.
Yes. And that's fine. But I think we still need to set some deadlines for backstories to hand in your backstories.
Right? You know who you are.
Thank you. You do know who you are. And don't cut corners. So if you've got a character, and like myself, I make my players choose 3 NPCs that are significant to them. Right?
Yes.
To feed into the world and connect them into the world. This player needs to have 3 NPCs coming in. It doesn't matter that I'm adding them mid-campaign. I will find a place for them.
Right. Come on, you gotta have some skin in the game. If you're not willing to do something to join the table,
sure, absolutely.
If you do, you'll love it more, anyways.
Yeah. So I think that you don't want to cut corners. You don't want to cheapen the experience just because there is a more present expectation of time and delivery schedules for these things.
Yeah.
The want is to go easier and figure it out later, but there still needs to be a press to make them as complete as everyone else around them. If not more so, because the characters are already established in the world.
Well, you can't be as prepared because your character is new to the story, new to the campaign. They don't have the connections. They don't have the camaraderie with the party. The new player is already going to start a foot and a half behind the rest of the party, right?
18 inches.
I know, right? Right. So you gotta prep them for that.
This is also a great time for these new players who need more work, not less, for you maybe to over communicate. Maybe you've got a secret that you haven't found a hook in game to bring out.
Right.
Feed that to them.
Over communicate.
Right. Over communicate. Get over that. Get over that. Yeah, get your conversations public. Figure out how this character could have interacted with some or all of the party previously. Maybe they're taking over an NPC that the purdy lad, because they were purdy.
The purdy party.
Maybe they're finding this position instead of bringing in a sidekick, or maybe taking over that sidekick's character because they're okay with doing that, right? Once again, everybody has to agree with this kind of stuff, that you've got this new person coming in or taking over and now adding flavor and depth to that NPC that was already beloved. Right. And the DM can work with them, give them a bunch of information about that character's story, but then kind of going, hey, I'm going to take one out of my bag and put it back on the other side of the screen, right? Now it's going to come in, it's going to be more, and I'm not in control of that, and that's fine.
Oof.
And that's where we bring in incorporating the new character into the story, right?
Yes.
This is that over communication. This is an example of not a character yes-anding, but a player yes-anding another player. You're coming in, you are joining our table, and this is what I'm going to do to help transition you in.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what I, can do, and I can do some more. Oh, let's work with you, and I want to give you some other stuff, right? This is the story of yes and. It's not just a new story, but this is another way that we can practice that fundamental principle and really bring this person in warmly and with a welcoming stance, right? And getting them not into the deep end where it's sink or swim, but into the deep end where the story is rich and amazing.
Go. Sploosh.
Yeah, like welcome to the PvP tournament. You're like, you brought 3 extra characters, right?
You know how to rap, right? And rhyme?
Beatbox for us. So
dance for us.
Dance for us. Wow. Yeah, see, toxic table? Not so toxic.
Just got to prep them for it.
Yeah. So when we're yes-anding as players, this is, like we talked about before, this was one of the things that you talked about, DMing your PC.
Oh, yeah.
This is, like I said before, this is where you need to metagame your character to say, yes, this character belongs. I'm always in the side. I'm always quiet. I'm always standing back in the corner. But there's something about this guy that I like, and I think they should come along, even though I don't like anybody.
Yeah, it's so easy to be like, no, my character wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's more advantageous to your table if you as a player can find an excuse for your character to do that.
Yes.
Right? Like, force it. Like, don't let your character control you. You are the arbiter of your character.
It's not what Sean's character would do. It's what Sean would do.
Correct.
Right? And so that's the metagaming that I was talking about. That's where you take over and you say what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And you force the character into your mold.
Yes.
And I don't think it has to be necessarily super difficult in order to do this. I think it should be easy enough to say, yes, welcome to our table. I myself was on the dark end of this experience to another player. I was the bad guy, apparently.
As always.
Wearing black. Where a new player came to our table, and because I didn't know them, because I didn't interact with them outside, because we didn't have a session 0 where we could communicate as players, it was just kind of a, hi, how's it going? How you doing? What kind of chips you bring? Awesome. Sit down, start playing. And then I started playing a xenophobic elf. And great. They were human, which he hated. And so that player felt like I did not want them at the table.
Oh, really?
When I didn't realize that my role play was superseding my player communication.
I've done something similar.
Yeah, I bet you have. Yeah.
Because I'm not a good guy. None of us are good guys on this podcast. Sorry.
We will not be casting the first stone.
Yeah.
We both have sin.
We're making the best parts of D&D better, not the worst parts of D&D
not
better.
Not us. Learn from our mistakes. Live. So seamlessly integrating new characters into the existing storyline is actually kind of easy if you do a little legwork. And this is you doing the legwork.
It's easy, but it's not intuitive.
Really isn't.
Right.
It punches against most of the things that we feel. Because we want to be true to the character and we want to be true to the story. And this thing that we just now have to accept. Yes.
So as a player, just write a little note to yourself as you play in your session prep, your player session prep, hopefully. Write a little note to yourself. Hey, do this. Like play from the point of view of the player forcing my character to do things to be welcoming to that other player.
Yes.
Right. So
give yourself permission to go there. And now that you've actually gone down the road a little bit into the plot lines, this new character has a better chance to have a more entwined backstory with the major arcs and the major narratives than any of the other characters. The other characters have been blundering along, trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
They are now attached to that thing. It's a match made in celestial heavens.
Well, and in extension, that character's player is now also integrated more into the table as well.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
I like it.
So it doesn't have to be an alligator to wrestle and try and figure out,
Wrestle.
bend it into a position and
gators.
fit it into the puzzle. Florida man.
Paladin.
The oath of the Florida man. My apologies. It is something that can be made easy.
Not
or
derogatory term.
This is, and I'll talk about this a little bit more when I start talking about community. This is a great way to have a first good step on that trust wheel. Right? To start building that by being a giving, welcoming person, by being vulnerable and opening up and sharing some of your story so you can experience theirs.
I want to add something to that session 0 portion of what you're talking about, though. Another really important reason why to have another session 0 with the new player is in your session 0, hopefully you had one, you talked about, and hopefully you talked about your lines and veils and all those kinds of rules for your tables. You want to reiterate that
that's a huge
because that new player may have their own lines and veils to add to your table, right? And you will 100% want to accommodate for that. And maybe you'll find out that maybe it doesn't work out, but you'll find a way, hopefully, right?
I like the additional clarity. I did say that, it's good that you talk about your expectations.
Yes.
But safety tools is yet another thing that you should talk about and should be very clear about how we handle these things. Yeah, absolutely.
No, talk about expectations for sure. Like how I expect you out there to click on the like and subscribe button for us.
Shameless segue.
Seamus.
Oh,
Seamus
the old
segue.
Seamus segue. Yeah, click that like, hit the subscribe, costs you nothing, helps us out greatly, helps promote the channel.
It would cost you a little dignity, but you can handle that.
You can handle
that. You got this.
You got this. Join us here on YouTube or Spotify or Google Play or any of the platforms where you're hearing my voice and or seeing my face. And check us out on Patreon. Just find out where we are. You can safely stalk us. We're not hiding that hard.
No, it's so easy to find people on the internet these days. I'm not nearly careful enough.
Oh, no.
Not nearly careful enough. Please be kind.
Rewind.
But now, I like it. You prep the table, prep them, they come in. Now that they're at your table, they've joined you in your sessions. I think there are social challenges to having any new person joining a group, any kind of group, or being a new person joining into another group. Right? So if you have someone new coming to your table specifically, you're not the new person, they're coming into your group. I think it's a good idea that until you don't have to, always default to treating them with kiddy gloves.
Okay.
Right.
Treating the new person.
The new person with kiddy gloves.
Yeah.
Because you don't know them.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you might think you know them, but you don't know them in this setting either. Right? So treat that person at your table with care, but also don't forget to be as genuine as you can while you do that. So treat them like they don't know how to integrate themselves, that they need someone to do it for them, right? Because they might not. They might not, because it's not necessarily a natural skill to people.
Sure.
Not for everyone, at least.
Yes.
Because they might have trouble. Unless they don't, then cool. But most likely, we all will feel some sort of anxiety or worry or fear joining a new group of people that we don't really know well, right? So it might seem kind of contrived, but treat them like they don't really know how to actively make friends.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't know if they do or not. So just in case they don't.
Oh, right? We don't know their story yet.
We don't. And you know what? Most people don't actively make friends. Most people mostly rely on passive sort of things that happen that just sort of, and they rely on the chance and destiny. They're really passive about their friendships. Like, oh, if we just happen to click,
just have
then we'll be friends. If we don't, right. Even then, like you don't do specific things to make friends. And you, believe me, you can do that.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Bro cute.
Bro cute. Because really, your table will be better if everyone present at that table feels comfortable and included.
Right.
Because if they don't, then whoever they are, they Well, if they feel comfortable, if they feel included, then they can be brave.
Yes.
Right? In their gameplay,
Yes.
right? In their RP, they can take risks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that makes for a better game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why does it make a better game? Well, because if you don't take risks, then you don't do anything interesting. Anything super interesting is a certain kind of a risk
Sure.
in the game. Like all the epic moments, it's always some risky thing that something epic happened.
Risky business.
Right? Great
Mhm.
movie. Right?
Down,
All with the risk.
down.
And the payoff, right? Or like the truly great RP is always risky emotionally, right? Because you have to be vulnerable for that kind of stuff,
Yeah, to truly hit
Right?
those genuine heartstrings.
right?
Yeah.
And it's frightening for people to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there for people to judge. I mean, for other characters to judge your character, but for other players to judge your RP,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're crying, really? Session 1 and you're crying. We fear that kind of judgment from people.
You're cutting onions at the table.
Right? And I won't go there if I don't feel safe to go
No,
there.
you won't. You can't be vulnerable unless you have trust, and you can't
Mhm.
have trust unless you feel safe to build that. And
Right.
yeah, it's just a big long string.
Like when we're scared, like people will do one of two things, or maybe both. I don't know if you can do both, but they'll either close in on themselves
Okay.
and just not interact
yes,
as much,
create a distance.
right? Or
Yeah.
they'll compensate for that with like bravado or something, right? The compensation is rarely good.
That's not how I compensate.
You buy big cars. I eat lots of chocolate.
It's too new. It's too.
I go home and I just eat pizza and ice cream.
Yeah.
I was such an idiot. I
Eat
can't
your
believe I
feelings.
cried.
Eat your feelings.
So when a new player comes to your table, expect them to be reluctant to give.
Yeah,
Right.
don't demand that. Let them open up as they're comfortable.
Like
to do
they
so.
might not be, but expect them to be reluctant.
Sure.
And if they are, you know.
Yes.
Or like, yes, I get it. You're new, right?
Are you a theater kid? Okay. Theater kids are great.
Right.
I'm not against them.
So like socially, they're like reluctant to tell jokes because they're scared of their own short stories, share sort of personal details to become close to someone. Because that's what we do as friends. We're comfortable, so we can do that, right?
Yes.
In game, they'll be sort of reluctant to share or be brave in their RP, in the tactics, in like in the battles. Well, what should I do? I guess I'll just an Eldritch Blast every turn because I'm scared of doing something stupid.
The old optimized new player. Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I'll just do this because I don't want to risk doing something potentially fun but disastrous.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay. I'm going to talk about that later. I need to remind
Okay.
myself to talk about that later. Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Please continue.
Well, and they'll be reluctant to participate in the planning of things too. Like, oh, where should we go? Why should we do that? What do you think is happening?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't give their opinions, and you'll be losing out on that stuff, right?
Mhm.
They will be reluctant if they're scared to do that, right?
Mhm.
So it's in your benefit or to your benefit to make sure that you understand they're reluctant and to accommodate for that,
Mhm.
right? So how do I make them feel comfortable?
Oh.
Right? How do
Good
I
question.
make them stop being reluctant?
Mhm.
Right? Stop being scared. This is a trick that they do in sales a lot. Go to a car dealership and they'll be like, here, want a coffee? Right?
Oh,
Give them something.
hey, can I get you a
Like,
drink?
Yeah. Like,
Be a good host.
but specifically to them, not like, oh, there's drinks if you want some. Right? Oh, here's some snacks if you want.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, here, what can I get you to drink? Right? Give them something, like an actual thing. Not like a compliment, though those work too, but an actual thing.
It's nice to meet you. Here's a compliment sandwich.
Funny. Because it's in our brains, this sort of social psychology thing that we have in our brains, that people are more likely and be willing to give themselves, like mentally and emotionally, when you give them something first.
Okay.
Right? They feel like they need to give something back.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
So give anything, a drink, a snack, whatever. Let them borrow your dice or a dice, right? Give them something to write with. I know, right?
Don't touch my dice. I can
Have
offer.
get an extra set.
Don't touch. Yeah.
They don't need to know,
Yeah.
right? And never let them know.
Well, I'm the one behind that cardboard thing. So if it's like.
You can have these dice. And the rest of the day was like, oh, that's not a kind move. He's giving me those dice.
That's brutal.
Those have been in jail for like 6 months. You can never tell them.
No.
Never tell them you guys until much later.
I like this idea. It could turn into too much if everyone's like, here's gifts for your first time. You're like, I don't know what to do with all these cookies and drinks.
Right.
But I like it.
I don't know if it's too much. If it's too much to let you know.
It could depend on the person, right? They could be naturally shy or naturally full of anxiety going into this, or have other issues that they've dealt with. And this is a big step for them. And then for everybody to almost be too welcoming, or the group to be too accepting, can feel
maybe
off because of their history, not because of the intention of it.
I still think it's probably better to err on the side of more than less.
Nice.
Right? Nice.
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 Do you want to go out for dinner tonight? No, I want to go join 6 D&D groups. I'm feeling peckish.
Yeah, they'll give me all that stuff. They watched this episode 50 of Caffeine and Cantrips.
Maybe some pizza.
Steak dinner. Nice.
Whoa, I'm joining that table.
Right. One thing you can do, as you should, as a good host,
to
a new person coming in, is introduce them to the group. Whoever is bringing them in, whether it's the DM or one of the players, you're the one inviting them. They're like your new person.
Right.
You introduce them to the group.
Yes.
Right. And make sure your group introduces themselves to them. Right. Make it formal if you have to.
You let everybody know, hey, let's all show up half an hour early so we can sit down and have an extra long meet and greet.
Yep, exactly. Make everyone at the table do it and the new person last.
Yes.
Right. So they sort of can get the feeling of how this table interacts.
What the flavor is, what the expectation is.
For this introduction thing. Right?
Yes.
The Japanese people do this culturally all the time. Like any new situation with new people, they'll introduce themselves. They'll be like, hello, my name is Tanaka, whatever, blank. Tanaka Auto. And they'll say something interesting about themselves or relevant to the situation. And they say, please treat me well. Like it's like a ritualized thing that they do. But it serves a very useful purpose, right? It's like a formal introduction. Now you're part of the group, right? And this is what we do. They know a little bit about me. I know a little bit about you. I know what we're all about now.
Right.
And now we can go from there.
Pass them the D20 with both hands.
Right.
Bow the head.
You take it with both hands.
And then you take it with both hands.
Right. One-on-one microphone. Then you study it carefully.
Yes.
And you put it into your dice case.
Yes.
Right. It's my dice. It has my name on it, my phone number, my title.
D20 business cards. Dibs. I'm calling dibs on that. I don't know how that works, but I'm going to do it.
Be awesome. Like engraved inside.
Roll. Oh, that's his phone number.
The roll. 20, 12, 6, 1. Is that your phone number? Not this time. You failed that check roll again.
Yeah. Investigate again.
Next thing you can do, be curious about them.
Oh, yes.
Be curious about them.
Be open to
like who they are as a person and as a player.
Yes.
Don't be like, okay, cool, you're playing the table. Do your stuff and don't suck. Right? Don't be like that.
No.
Be interested in who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Right? Who are they? Find out what they like, what they don't like. Even more important. What they are or want to work on in D&D.
Oh, share your goals.
Right.
That's a great
like,
one.
What are you working on? What do you have troubles at? What are you worried about?
Yeah.
Coming into a new table. Let's just address the elephant in the room. Right. What's the scariest part? What's the weirdest part about coming to the table?
His name's Bob. He's a Loxodon. It's okay.
Those freaking Loxodons. At my D&D table.
Address him.
Loxo. What's his name?
Bob
Loxo.
Yeah.
He also works at Area 51.
B-O-B.
Lazar Loxo, close. Be proactive with them in character. Can't get over that, eh?
No, I need a moment. Go.
So when you're role playing with them or playing with them in the session now, make in character connections with them, even beforehand, even better. Like,
right.
We talked about that, right?
Share backstories, share hooks,
so they come in,
themes.
they have context already. They don't have to like struggle with like, or you don't have to struggle either with how do I interact? Why should I care about this new character? Right? Like, how are they going to interact? Like, how do I get that?
Hey, DM, they gave me this one thing about their backstory. Can you tell me something that they don't know? So I have something to add to their story right off the bat.
Give them a hook to their own story.
Yes.
Help me hook.
A little lore bite. Yeah. So easy to do.
Right? You just have to do it. But again, not intuitive.
No.
Right?
No.
So what you want to do is pull the character into your group, because that's the hardest part. Even it's the most awkward part of any new party, even when you know each other. when the party first gets together, like, how do we become a party? It takes forever, usually.
Yeah.
Right?
DM me your tips. I don't know.
Right. And you want to expedite that for a new
that's that metagaming, right?
Yep.
And that's the part where normally I wouldn't, and I've been on this long, slow track to get all these other people up to. Nope. This one's a yes.
Yeah. Right. Like you, I didn't do this when we had a new player join our table, and I feel a little bit bad about it because they don't play with us anymore. Their party came, or the character joined.
Life happened, yes.
Right, and I was like, my character is like, who the heck are you? Well, I don't care about you.
Yep.
Right. And in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that probably would have felt kind of bad from a player because that transitive properties of D&D and your character to the player. It just made it harder for that person to integrate.
It just so happened that they were also asked to describe themselves first in the very first session. And then it went around to the rest of us who were much more experienced players. And so they were like, I'm wearing a belt and some pants. And the other one's like, forsooth, my diamond of 6 sides holds. Yeah, right. Like it was just right. It was a mismatch. It could have been handled better, but we learned from that.
Well, exactly. And we didn't treat them with Kiddy gloves.
Correct.
Right. We just expected them, treat them to be this all-star. Right.
In a way, I'll agree with you. We knew that they were new,
but we didn't treat them like they were.
It didn't end up being a great experience.
Yeah.
But then there was other stuff. So
yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't just us.
I don't know how they felt from their point of view, but from my point of view, I feel bad. I feel bad.
And the intimidating one.
So if you're watching,
you know who you are. Hey, bud.
I'm sorry.
Hope you're doing good.
I'm sorry.
Bye, Felicia.
One of the things you can do is to integrate them, their character into your group, is to just initiate RP with them.
At their level.
Yes, especially if they're new to D&D.
Yes.
Or new to RPing.
I play in a murder hobo campaign. I don't know what this role play thing is. I want to try it out. What do you mean, how am I feeling? Yeah. What dice do I roll for that?
Right?
Yes.
Like, I heard this about you. Can you tell me more about that? Just pull them in by going to them, because they might feel scared to come to you.
Yes.
Right? And again, just like you're being curious out of character as a person, be curious in character, right? So that you can find out more about their character. So in character. But speaking of out of character, be proactive out of character. Very important. What does that mean? Invite them to stuff. That's what it means.
Okay. Even if they say no.
If they might say no.
They might.
But the invite, the gesture means a lot.
Let them say no.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? If you're okay with it and you have get-togethers, invite them to your get-togethers. Right? They might say no, maybe not comfortable yet. Invite them again later. Right? Maybe that'll change, and probably they will, hopefully, if you don't screw this up. When you have conversations in the group, like post-session chats, right? Pull them in. Ask for their opinion. You're joking about stuff, right? Tell a joke to them. Ask them, what do you think about this? Have you done this before? Because it's hard to put yourself out there when you're scared. You're the one with all the power because you're comfortable. Right? You are confident. This is your group. So you go and be proactive and share that with them. It will go a long way to make them feel comfortable. Right?
This addresses strengths kind of in general.
Yeah.
Sorry, as like a sub point to that. If you're all new, like I said, it's a weekly, whoever shows up is playing at the local game store, or it's Craigslist ad or whatever.
Backroom Craigslist
if
ads.
You happen to be a player with a strength in confidence. I know nothing about the game, but I am a confident person. So I feel more comfortable being an initiator in this kind of communication or whatever. Great. Because they might not be. Or you might find another great communicator, and then you'll have like an instant bond there because you found that like combined area of being confident. Whatever it is, use your strengths where you can extend that area of comfort around yourself, and then work from there into those places where you can be curious.
Yeah.
Right? Because maybe you're both new. Maybe you're all new. Maybe nobody's new. Maybe you're all dosed and you're all have short-term amnesia. interesting campaign. You could do a lot of things, but work from your.
All the NPCs are like, what?
No, the PCs, all the players just got.
No, the NPCs are like, we met like 3 times already.
Yeah, like why don't you know this?
Is this a thing?
Players
for you
are
guys?
like, roofies are terrible.
Wait, is this that false Hydra quest that you guys went on?
Okay, that game might be a little too.
Am I a false Hydra?
Am I a false Hydra?
I should stop listening to my own
Are
songs.
we a false Hydra?
Whoa.
How many heads do I have? Yeah, this is something that you can do regardless of if you are the new one, you're not the new one, you're all new ones, whatever. Work from your strengths.
Yes.
Right. And let other people know, hey, you can rely on me for this.
Yep.
That's something interesting about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Well, bring them into your 1-person fold.
Yes.
Or 1-person group, then it's 2 people.
1 person fold.
For one. Another important point, though, is when a new person joins your group is don't try to look cool. It is counterintuitive, right? So counterintuitive because we want to try to look our best. I mean, I don't because I don't need to try. But for you, don't try to look cool.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like, because it can be intimidating and off-putting, right? So
well, then they're not necessarily getting to know the genuine you either because you're putting out a facet of yourself.
Like when we're with friends, we are stupid. So be stupid. With your friends, be silly, be open, be genuine, be brave, right? Because people can feel it when you're holding back who you are and all your all your like bad parts, I should say, maybe.
Okay.
They can feel it and they're holding back and they're like, oh, that means it manifests as a sort of subtle feeling of exclusion. Like it's like when someone's always polite to you and they're always smiling to you, you're like, there's a wall there that you're not letting me past.
Potentially, yes.
Right. And then usually, because at work, when you have work relationships, you hold all that part back.
The personal stuff, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it kind of is like when you're trying to be cool in front of that person. Right. Trying to look your best. Don't try to look your best. Just be you and treat them and act towards them like you act with anyone else in that group. Right.
It's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's scary on our part to do that because you want people to like you.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And as they begin to sort of settle in and find their own place at your table, because you've been doing all this stuff, and like, man, this stuff is awesome. You gave me like
assigned seating,
lobster and halibut, and sushi and stuff. I love this table, right? Then you can start to lay off on all this. Cake and cupcakes and donuts.
This wasn't on your questionnaire,
right? Once they figure it out and they're settled, you can then stop doing this because a lot of this is kind of contrived.
It's funny that what you're telling people to do is kind of what you told them not to do.
I know, right? So you do it until you don't have to, right? They might say like, you might notice really soon that they're like, oh, they don't need this.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, they brought their own drinks.
Right? They came and was like, hey guys, have a beer. Have a beer. Right? They're doing this stuff to you.
Right.
Right? Because the first meetings are always kind of contrived. Like a first date, it's super contrived. Right? You can never trust the first date. Right? Because you don't know until you have the second date. And you're like,
this is correct. This is correct. Nobody touches the bananas.
Right? It's like you can never trust a relationship until you see what that relationship sort of happens to it when it gets hard. Yeah. Type of thing, right? So
phrasing.
Like 15 inches. So lay off on it. So once they find out that they find their own place. But assume that they need this until you find out that they don't.
Yeah.
Right? Right? And by truly bringing them into your group, you bring in all that they have and all that they have to offer your table as well. Right? So do yourself a favor and your table and get to it. Right? Just bring them in. Bring them in.
Bring them in. Bring them in.
To hug.
For a hug. Yeah. If you're a huggy person, be a huggy person. Yeah. No, 100%. Hey, I'm not comfortable with hugs.
That's
no
a
problem.
veil. Can we?
That's a veil?
Can we?
We hugged off screen.
Yeah, off screen.
Was that a good hug for you? It's just close our eyes.
It's like those Chinese kung fu movies. We fought in our minds with our spirits. We hugged with our spirits.
Yeah, one day we're just gonna have to get a bunch of people to sit down and pull that prank on a new player.
Can you send me a hug emoji?
We're just
Send one back.
Okay.
That is not a hug emoji.
That's not a hug emoji. HUG, right?
It's just like purple and bulbous. But
Mushrooms, man.
But
Okay.
what if you're the new guy? What if you're the new guy?
Oh, because you might be, or you have been at least
Right.
once in your past. You might be
Like-
in your future.
It's not some new guy joining your table. You are the new guy or girl joining that table.
Mhm.
Some table that I don't even know. I only know one person tangentially, maybe, or whatever, right? Or maybe it's answered an ad on
Right, exactly.
Backpage Craigslist or whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh, I've got something to say about this too. Okay, keep going.
Oof, nice. All right. Backpage Craigslist.
I don't know.
listings?
I need to remember all. Keep going.
So you've joined a new table, or you're about to. What now? You're the person, right? Are you a superstar? Are you fully confident that you'll be able to make friends with everyone? Maybe. For the rest of us, right? You might be feeling anxious,
Oh yeah,
excited,
Yeah.
or worried, or even scared,
sure.
right? Because I don't know what's going on,
Combination of all three.
right? Are they going to be murder hobos? I don't know. Hoping for the best, but I don't know, right? Right? Because maybe you're one of those people who never really felt like they belonged in a group
Oh, okay.
ever, right?
Yep.
Like I've got friends, but I don't feel like I belong.
Yep.
Well, like there's a group of people that I go to lunch with at work, but they chat, and I'm just sort of there.
That's the extent. That's the scope of the relationship.
Right.
Yep.
Like, how am I gonna integrate with this new D&D group where we have to like RP and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like no matter what, I just can't. I don't know. I'm just bad at this. I can't fit into these circles, right? Even when I've been in the group for like years, I'm just that
Oh, got a little
Guy.
imposter syndrome going on.
right.
Okay.
I just don't feel like it.
Sure.
Well, there's good news. Good news. You can integrate yourself into a group, even if you are like this, even if you feel like this,
Yes.
right? And what I'm going to say, I think, is more about what you can do, and less about how you should be feeling. Because it doesn't matter what you're feeling, as long as you do these things, you'll be able to integrate yourself with
Fake it till you
just
make
about
it.
every group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. And you're like, oh, what if I'm not confident enough? Right? What if I'm not cool enough? I'm not likable enough. But the things like confidence, warmth, intimacy, right? Closeness and friendships, all these things will come naturally if you do these things.
Okay.
Right?
What are these things?
Step one,
Okay.
be brave. Be brave.
Oh.
You got this. Don't, because you're scared, but be brave. You got this. Okay?
Episode 1 throwback.
Mm-hmm. Step two, figure out who the main person is at that table, that D&D table.
And take their lunch
It's
money.
usually the DM, but not always. Not always. Usually,
Right.
right? Right? You want to look to see who people are looking at when they laugh. When there's a big joke at the table and everyone laughs, who are they looking at? That's probably the main person. It's human psychology. It's weird,
group
right?
dynamics. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Look at when people are talking, they're standing up, they're chatting on a
Mhm.
break. Look at who their feet are pointed to. There'll be one person who most of the people's feet are turned to.
It's
Just
the
whoever you're pointing-
inclusive angle of their feet.
Yeah, whoever
Yes.
their feet are pointing to is the person they pay attention to.
Yeah, or within their toes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that's simple, sneaky sort of ways to find out who the actual main person is.
Mm-hmm.
Besides just feeling it out. Because you can kind of tell the person who's everyone listens to. When they talk, people stop and they listen. Usually.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's always a main person. Figure that person out.
Okay.
Step three, make friend.
Make friend.
Make friend.
Have friend.
Right? Make friends.
Friend's good.
You want to make friends. But really, because I think make friends with one person at the group. Try to get closer to one person.
Okay.
The instinct is to be like, I want everyone to like me. I want to be friends with everyone at this table. Right?
Mhm.
But the truth is, it's difficult. Right? So concentrate on one person that you think you can be closer to. It's best if it's the main person.
Okay.
Min-maxing this stuff, guys.
Right.
But
right.
anyone in the group works.
Okay.
Because maybe they're just not quite your cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Anyone in the group works.
Yep.
One person. And there you're in. Work with that friend as a connection to the others in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have conversations with that person. Right? You ask questions, be curious about that person. And through them, once you become friends with one person, they will naturally sort of bring you into the rest of the group.
Yeah.
The dynamics, like the power dynamics, is just how it works. You just need to be closer to one person. And then you'll naturally sort of flow into the other people. I know it seems so sociopathic, but it works. Trust me, from one sociopath to another.
Yeah.
It works.
Oh, you're sharing about yourself.
Right? Because really, it's in this way, it's not about how you feel. As long as you do it, you will be successful.
Yeah, and developing that habit through repetition of those actions and those choices will just naturally help you in general. Whether you feel it or not, they don't know that you don't feel it or don't like it or whatnot.
Well, and the secret is people who are good at making friends and stuff like that do this naturally. Right? Just because we don't know how to make friends actively, that we need to take notes and be like, oh, let's do this, make a friend today in the group, one friend, right? And then it feels contrived, but it's really not, because it's naturally something that people do. Right?
Yes, fair.
Step 4, when it's at that point, accept as many invitations that you can. So if someone invites you to that get together, if you can do it, go. Right? If you don't get any invitations, and if you want more of them, then send out your own invitations.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Right?
Don't wait for one to come in. Yeah.
You've made that one friend, start with that one friend. Right? Maybe they don't invite you to their get-togethers because you're new and they're not sure about you. But invite that one friend to coffee. Right? They like you and they will invite you to that group because you're friends now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then now you're in.
Yeah.
You're in. It's, as I say this, I'm like, this feels really bad, but it works. And you're not doing it selfishly or to take advantage of people. You're actively doing it so that you can add what you have to give to the table. Because hopefully they're doing step 1 and bringing you in, and you're doing your own steps to bring yourself in. Right?
I agree.
Working towards a common goal. Are we friends?
Are we? Yeah.
Okay. I guess we are. My wife's not here.
Yeah.
There's a long story there, guys. Step 5. My bad, actually.
Yeah.
This should be step 0, actually.
Oh, okay.
My bad. Be yourself.
But yes.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Don't change yourself excessively to fit in the group.
No.
Right? Maybe hold back certain things until you know where the line is for like humor and stuff like that.
Right.
Like maybe I like
kid gloves once again.
Right. Maybe I like dirty jokes. I really like telling dirty. Maybe I should hold those back until I can figure out if it's acceptable or not at this table.
Right.
Right. But don't change yourself excessively. Right. Because everyone has something unique that they bring to the group. Even you.
Especially you.
Well, especially you. And I say even you because I know that a lot of us don't believe that we are anything special.
Right.
Right? But we actually do.
Yeah. You're wrong if you think that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, you being a jerk here? No. Yes. Yeah, you're wrong if you think that.
I'm being supportive. I know you're not used to it, but it's okay.
What? Right? Because who you are truly, the true you, is probably interesting in at least one way.
You are definitely interesting in at least one way. Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
I like to make RP about not eating dogs. Right? It's interesting.
True story.
Cool. It is a true story.
Yeah.
One of the best RPs ever. But, right, you are interesting.
Correct.
Maybe you're not a superstar. Like, you haven't explored Antarctica and found ruins in the Nile or the tropics. You haven't flown to space. That's okay. You're still interesting. Because the most interesting things about people isn't necessarily what they do, but who they are and how they truly feel. Right.
And if you've done all of those things, Jeff Bezos, call us.
Oh, call us.
Yeah, we'll make room.
Right. Goggins, call us. But maybe not, because that's scary.
David Goggins?
Yeah.
No, we'll be doing marathon episodes. And I mean marathon. Stay hard.
You want to roll D20? This is medicine ball D20.
Medicine ball. Oh. Call us.
You can have as many death rolls as you want.
Yeah.
As long as you can roll it.
As long
another time.
Yeah.
Here's a bonus tip. Be serious about D&D. And whether your table is trying to accomplish at their D&D table. Treat it with respect, what they're doing.
Yes,
right?
You should. I think this is not a great one to end on, but this is a very powerful moment to say that you should really try initially being a new person. If you are the new person here, to be a chameleon in a way, to try and adopt what it is that this table is doing, to figure it out, and then add your flourishes on top. Right? Not hiding yourself, not, doing any of that other stuff, but just to say like, oh, where is this table? What percentage of each of the 3 pillars are they doing? Right? This is a fair and good way of just kind of figuring out what these people like. Because that's why they're playing the game, is because they're doing something that's fun and they like that. So I think it's really, really good to do that.
Me too.
Yes. I'm going to disagree though. I think perhaps you should change a little bit instead of just being yourself. If yourself, you have not subscribed and liked this video,
yes, definitely.
You need to change.
Change yourself.
Change yourself.
Change yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, we will sick David Goggins on you. I don't know if we can do that, but
he'll find a way.
He will find you, and you will carry the boats.
Right.
God, I want to do that, but it sounds like so much pain.
Yeah.
Can't hit me if you can't keep up. I'm like,
yes, like, subscribe.
Find us.
Please.
Because we're coming to you with a bunch of topics. Hopefully you're finding this interesting. You've been with us here for a little bit now for this particular video. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if we earned your subscribe. Let us know if you've had some of these discussions before, or if you've never had one of these discussions before. Let us know about any problems you had while you were the new player, while a new player was coming to your table. Let us know how you surpassed those particular barriers.
Survived.
How you stayed hard in your session.
15 inches.
I am shaking my head for you in Audioland because that is a quote that I do not want out on the internet. But it's gone.
Get hard.
It's gone. Stay hard. Not get. Okay. So I talked about
step 1 and step 2.
I talked about communication. I'm moving forward proudly. I'm now going into community because you've started talking about this, about getting invites and making invites and finding the biggest guy in the yard and taking his lunch money and playing D&D with him.
Yes.
This is, I think this is if you are not the one new to the group. I think if you are you're the one. Highlander.
There can only be one.
Good campaign. This is maybe directed to those of you who are in the group already. This is the other side. So you're not necessarily looking to find the key person in the group because you already have your social dynamics. You're already happy, right? And I think it is important to say this ain't your grandpappy's table.
Oh,
this is your table.
See his table? It was not.
It's your table.
Your table is not grandpappy's table.
I think.
It's not my grandpappy's table.
I think that one of the most important things that you can do, hot take, is start a fight. And I'm not necessarily talking about a bar brawl or a gladiator pit thing.
I'm disappointed.
I think bury the lead. I think there is reason even perhaps to pre-plan or initiate this with someone that you feel closely aligned with at the table, to have a real kind of moment of friction, whether in character or between players. And while we talk about this, to not do this sort of thing, what I do want to say that this could be good practice for is to show how you've talked about in your session 0, how we find resolution and how we come to terms on things.
Okay.
Because if we go through life and every single time we hit any barrier, We say, nope, not for me, and we change directions. We never experience or build the skills required to surpass that barrier, get over it, get around it, go under it, whatever it is. So we can't always keep running from things. So if something is not like a definitive red flag, it is questionably acceptable with some modification in the future because we are having, standards. Then it's fine to say, this is great. Can we work on that?
Like double dipping?
Chips?
Yeah.
Then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
So I think resolution practicums are important because they are a skill. And maybe we're not talking about an actual fight, even though fights can be really fun. Maybe we are talking about, hey, our two characters disagree, or hey, we're having an issue with scheduling, or hey, we've got something going on. Let us practice finding a useful solution between us and demonstrating to the new person how we do things so that nothing bubbles up and comes to...
You're talking about picking a fight with the group, not with the new person?
Not with the new person.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh, no, not with them. With somebody else who knows the rules.
They're coming, hey, welcome to the group. That shirt is ugly.
It's terrible.
You need to work out before you can wear that shirt and join our group.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yes. Okay. That makes way more sense.
So, yes. So for clarity,
yes,
this is to have an example of conflict resolution, not with, but for the new person to show how we use our rules. Hey, we always put the new things up on the calendar for the next session. People post if they can or can't make that. I can't make that. Here, I'm going to enter that in right now. You're on the calendar, right, new guy?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Big sigh of relief coming out of me.
Just
man, where's he going with this?
Instead of like, here's a cup of coffee. The other guy's just like, cold cock. Don't.
Round one. Wait, what do you mean, guys?
Ding, hit the bell. I got you for 3 minutes. So don't start like an actual fist fight or anything. But there is a way that you can create a conflict, or you can demonstrate how we find resolution, how we communicate. And by keeping those skills sharp and demonstrating those skills to the other person, they can also see an actual practical example of the things that you just discussed in those session zeros.
Right.
That you just had. Right. And like you were saying, being part of the group, being a proactive person and a player, make sure that you're putting forward that effort, right? To demonstrate how we work through these things. And that's like, do this, period. Right. Like make sure that, normally it would just be like this quiet thing that, you and I would talk about on the side, but I'm actually going to be like, hey guys, what do you think about this? Sean and I think about this particular thing this way. Are we all in agreement that this is the way that we would do it? And they go, they discuss these things. They bring them up. What
do you think about the new guy's body odor? I just want to bring it up every.
It is delicious.
Right?
Yeah, like
Axe. Is it Axe?
It can't be Axe. Is it Axe?
It's making me feel things.
Wow.
When you talk about this.
Cinnamon? So understanding now, this comes into
black right now, guys.
Huh?
Let's fade to black right now, guys. That Axe is getting to me.
We need a veil. When you are being that proactive player, right? So DM or PC, you need to know your inside jokes. Your phrases, your catchphrase, your inside stories, right? These things are part of the group that is established. And we need to recognize that they exist because they do, right? And use them.
That's what the group is. Anyways.
Well, yes.
It's like the framework that makes it a group.
Absolutely, right? These are the shared things that make it so good. So we can use these now as hooks to bring the new person in. Oh, we need these. We can get this or use this to say like, hey, you remember that time that and the person goes, no. And you go, oh, do I have a story for you? And in game, you can use that to be like, hey, I want to call for a scene where I relate stuff that everybody knows except for this person.
Right.
Because this is fundamental in the identity of how our PC group.
It's all the false hydras. You forgot this?
We never remembered. Me too. I never remembered.
They're all false hydras.
The
party of all false hydras.
Is it a party?
Stop singing. Can you stop singing?
Just Shush. So these things we can use to bring people in, right?
Yes.
To further build that bond, to increase what's going on there, right? And when we do this, we can take our time so that we don't overload them with, oh, hey, here's the past 100 sessions worth of lore.
Yeah.
And then you yell at them for 3 hours straight. and then they go, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
And then we went to the inn, and then we talked to Hammy, and then he said, this is what we have on tap. We have illusion wine. We've got a beer.
Yeah.
We have beer tequila. You know, what?
Beer tequila.
Goblin vodka.
Nice.
What's your pick? And you said,
is that a brand name? Yeah.
do you have any, pixie whiskey? And I said, that's lame.
Yeah, so we can actually make an impactful scene that's fun to tell, right? And that will bring them in on the joke. So the next time that comes up naturally, they're not an outsider going, I don't know this. They get to do the Captain America thing and go, I know that reference.
Pixie wine.
Pixie wine. Gobvogged. So as we do this, bringing it out in piece by piece format, we can navigate these introductions selectively, but also we can avoid tension when we do this, right? Because we don't know really still who they are, what the boundaries of what they find funny is, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. We've talked about it, but in practical application, that could be very different than what is happening right now at the table. How many people cut them off in traffic on the way to the session, right? All of these things, it's a new, right? These sorts of things happen. And this allows us a good tool to bring them in an easy, kid-gloved way.
Yes.
Nice. So do that, right? Don't self-censor. Do give them a nice story and then a slightly less nice story, or then a funnier story, or then maybe a lewd story, right? And see how it goes. We talked about it before. Still be yourself, even amongst the people that you've have as a group that you're comfortable with, right? You still need to try and bring them into that.
Right. Be yourself, but you don't necessarily have to share all of yourself.
Right. So it's not self-censoring.
Yeah.
It's just bringing them in at a comfortable pace.
Yep.
Right. And not being overwhelming, right? In any sort of way.
Yes.
And that becomes really important. So take a moment to think about what comes naturally to you, right? How the group works, where those jokes land. Think about the cliques and the subgroups within the party.
In character?
In character. Out of character, above table, right?
Below table?
Don't go below table. Not in the first session. It's
at least the second session.
Yeah, the second session, different sets of rules. But when we take a moment to think about these things, we're no longer just a believer that they're out there. These things actually exist. Like Sean was just talking about in how we organize our groups and hierarchies and whatnot. It does exist. And getting out there and befriending the most popular person does somewhere in our monkey brains raise our standing, right? And it brings us into a more likable or whatever that is. So now when we're already part of that group, ask ourselves, what makes us a part of that? Right? Identify where this comes from. These things do exist, right? And ensure that you have inclusivity or exclusivity, and be very clear as to which one applies to the group that you're a part of. And so I have examples here.
Sounds dangerous. Okay, keep going.
Right? Because exclusivity is normally a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? So as an example from my table, and I've said this before, but I had a couple characters that engaged in something that an NPC called Buckle Talk. And it was for the shorter characters, the dwarf and the gnome, who their heads were kind of at the height of everyone else's buckles. And so Buckle Talk became this thing because they were always whispering and talking off to the side while other things were happening. And they were having a fun time, and it was fun and it wasn't disruptive. And it was a thing that they did.
Yeah.
What we didn't know when we did a later session 0 is that other players, not characters, other players felt like they were not allowed to engage in buckle talk.
Yeah, I didn't even have an idea that anyone else in the group felt that way.
And I don't think most did. I didn't. I know I'm not going to speak.
It was enough that even one person did, though. Right?
Correct. And while those two players didn't realize that they hadn't communicated that it was welcome for anyone to join in on this, they were just enjoying it. They were just doing it. Inadvertently, not by choice, other players felt left out.
Well, because everyone defaults to being reluctant.
Correct.
To take that risk.
Well, I don't know. And maybe I don't feel comfortable making the leap here.
I don't know if it's okay to me. I don't want you to be mad at me.
So afterwards, after we had this, we made sure that the players talked to the other players and said, anyone can engage in this. Anyone can kneel down and engage in the conversation. You don't even have to come down to kneel in order to speak, tall folk. No,
this became something else.
I like it.
Are all gnomes like this?
Yeah,
it's doing something to.
We've got other rules that all gnomes like now, but as a subgroup or as a clique, right? This was something that had a welcome mat on it, but nobody knew that it was there. Nobody knew that they were welcome to come in at any time and enjoy this.
As long as they knelt.
No. Conversely, what happens if you have two PCs or even players, for this matter, that have a romantic engagement?
Okay.
Right? It may not be acceptable for you to join that. Right? Three is a crowd, right? And so this...
I can kiss my wife.
Yeah.
It's not okay for you to kiss my wife.
In character or out of character, I don't like that. This group is closed, right?
Yes.
And that's okay, right? We understand that this subgroup or this clique or this interaction, this role play is just for members that recognize other members.
Right.
Right. If you RP your way into that club with consent from all parties, great.
Yes.
If you don't accept that, don't accept, make sure that if you're in that group, that you do not have a welcome mat and you clearly communicate to others, hey, this is RP that we are doing and trying. You are more than welcome to be at the campfire and comment on how these two characters are lovey-dovey. You are not welcome to come into the tent while the characters are lovey-dovey. This is okay, right?
Yes.
What the important part is in this talk about community is that there is a clear communication and a clear conception of who is in the group, who's allowed to be in the group, and everybody else should know those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That you should know, yes, you're welcome to join Buckle Talk. No, you're not welcome to join Kissy Time.
That being said, I think if you're excluding people from your group and you're doing like in-character scenes and stuff, you have to make sure, I think, that what you're doing isn't selfish for just the two of you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, because if it's just for you, you can do that off screen somewhere else. Right? Right. Like if you do something, make sure it's the other players can also enjoy it, even though they're not participating in it. If you're going to be doing it at the table.
Yes.
Right. So anyways, just a little caveat.
I like that. I like that caveat.
Yeah.
It still rides on the back of clear communication.
Absolutely.
Right? Player to player, clear communication and clear expression of what it is.
Yes.
So that there is no guessing. Right? And
no guessing.
No guessing. And it's funny because that leads me in how we shift and how we join and leave these groups and how we understand how these groups work in the larger structure of the table. Where we get into power dynamics. And you talked about power dynamics.
I love power dynamics.
But I think for me, at least as part of this scope of community being what I'm talking about, it's the power of change. Because you're coming in, or the new player is coming in, because we're talking about, once again, the group as existing, right? You're not the new player coming in. You have an understanding of how things work. You have an understanding of what the rules are and how we do this and how we talk about this and who we share what information with and all of these sorts of things, right? We need to be proactive. I know this word keeps coming up, but we need to be proactive and make room for this new person to come in. We need to not kind of fence off and hide things from them. So it might be a hot take. I don't think it is.
I don't think it's a hot take.
But you don't know what I'm going to say. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a mind reader.
Well, is it worse than fighting someone in the first session?
First chair is hard to take. Anyway, no, in this case, it is, I don't believe that there should be ownership of actions at the table. I don't believe that there should be ownership of intent prejudgment. So let me talk about what that is.
Unpack that, please.
So, for instance, I don't believe that the quote unquote pickpocket or the lock picker should be the only one if we have a wizard that joins the party who knows knock or whatever. And he's like, I can take care of that. Done. And the party goes, no, that's his job or her job to pick locks.
Right out of character. The players saying,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Okay.
They're saying that no, this is this person's thing, and they're the only one that's allowed to do that thing.
Right. Yeah.
I don't believe that anybody should be able to put a little police line tape around anything in the game and be like, that is mine. Don't touch that. As far as actions go or things that you can do.
Okay.
Right? Once again, role play experiences can be different, but when we're talking about a mechanical thing, the fighter's the only one who's allowed to physically attack things. What? We just
that's my thing.
Aren't allowed to use weapons at all in this game?
Bard, just talk.
Yeah, the bard's
no one else gets to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Except me.
That's communicating. It feels like it can get silly when we blow it out of proportion.
Yep.
But simultaneously.
But it does happen on certain scopes, right?
It does, right? Yeah. And sometimes you're the one who's like, that's my thing. The group always relied on me for that. Right? We can make room for others to do these things.
Yes.
Maybe you do it together and then you two go off on a shopping spree.
Maybe now there's 2 locks.
There's 2 locks.
Same amount of time to unlock it.
Right.
So what are you going to do?
And the wizard's like, I'm done mine. How about you? And you're like, I need another 9 minutes and 54 seconds.
Maybe the rogue's like, done. The wizard's like, I'm going to try to unlock it with this.
Is that evil magic? Are you doing dark magic? Finger of death does not work on objects.
Great old one. Spells.
Yeah. So when we're doing this, I also don't think, right, because we're talking about subtractive experiences now. I'm taking something away from you. I don't also believe that we should just prejudge people and what their intent was. Oh, the wizard is casting knock to not allow the thief to open the lock.
Right.
No, they were just trying to be helpful.
Yep.
They were just trying to do a thing, and they took that spell specifically so that when you're being chased by orcs or you're being chased by dragons or whatever, you got to get out and we're done. We're out of here. It just so happens that it's the end of the day and they can spend some spell slots.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason is, we don't want to necessarily attribute that to malice.
Maybe they're just trying to impress the rogue.
Maybe they're trying to be cool. Don't be cool. Don't be cool.
Don't try to be cool.
Oh, don't try to be cool.
Just be cool.
Be cool. Johnny T. That's where it's at. So go out there, and this is really what's going to help make sure that you ensure respect when you go out there, right? When you are not the new person and you allow them to come in and allow them to show off what they made their character do and what they're good at and all of these sorts of things that you can get behind, let them, make room for them, and then bring them into the fold, kind of like a slime Tetris, right? Make that space, let them fit into it, and then wipe the line slime together. Tetris. Slime Tetris. It's
there's no space for that block here, Bart.
There is now.
No, because the thing about what you're talking about there, when you're saying like, oh, that reserving that certain action or that gameplay element just for me, what you're really doing is not at a deeper level. You're not reserving an action. You're reserving that slice of fun for yourself and not letting anyone else have that fun. You're like excluding fun from certain people.
Because this is my fun.
This is my fun. You can't have
you can't have my fun.
Right. And as a rule, I think in D&D, we should never be taking away from the game or anyone. It's so great that way that you can always add more. There's always room. You can always make more room. You can always add fun for yourself and other people. Like I said, it can be 2 locks. It can be 4 locks. Give me a break. It could be 5, and every character can open a different lock their own way.
Yes.
Right? So, like I said, so don't it's really, you're talking about fun. It's more brutal that way because that's exactly what you're doing. You're not allowing someone to have fun that they want to have.
No, I like it because it's a good point, and that raises the stakes on it.
Yeah,
it's not just a thing you're doing; you're restricting fun at the table. No, that's a much better way of putting it. Much better way of putting it. And with that, when you stop restricting fun, you can start building trust, right? You
don't restrict my fun.
Folding them into that beautiful slime Tetris that you've got going on.
Trust circle.
Right? Build that trust circle. We talked about that
so much.
back in. I do. I think that was a really impactful episode that not enough people watched, liked, and subscribed. So
it was like circles.
Episode 24. I do like circles. They're beautiful. Episode 24 was our trust episode. That's where we talked.
How do you always know the numbers? Anyway, sorry.
I'm a DM. That's how. That's going to be my answer for everything.
I want someone to be like, actually, it was episode 23, guys.
No.
That'll be me.
Yeah, that'll be you.
My secret account.
Extra comments. So jump into 24. Go check it out because this is where we talk about how to build that trust and what it takes to kind of go out on those branches and build it. And allowing people to be cool, even if that's a thing that you did and was cool, it's okay for them to do that.
They can be cool too.
Share the fun. Right?
Share the load.
Share the load. And that brings us all the way back around to, like I said before, this ain't yo grandpappy's community.
Or Skidding Kit.
No, that's still on the mountain. This is interesting now because you said before, like, look where their feet are, look where they look when they laugh, like all of these social cues that happen. But what happens if those aren't valid anymore? What happens if your personal experience isn't valid to somebody else's game? What happens if
feet?
What?
No one has feet in this game. Well, it's the no feet society.
Maybe you're online and you
that
can't
makes
look
sense.
under the table and look at other people's feet. Maybe
everyone, I want to see your feet.
Yeah, maybe everybody has to point their cameras at their feet for the DM. That's a game that I don't know about. Maybe you go into the forest and you throw beanbag balls.
Lightning bolt.
Right? Maybe these are all your norms.
Yes.
This is how you play. This is something that I never conceived of before this moment as a way that you could play.
Right.
Right. And so no longer can I expect my personal experience to inform me on your game or your fun, as you just brought, your community, your established rules that you guys have found, agreed upon, and share.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's okay. That's actually kind of cool.
Oh, no, it's great.
Right? That there are ways to enjoy the game that you haven't conceived of yet. There's more game to experience. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And to know that you don't know everything about it is also kind of a humbling, nice thing, even though I'm a DM.
Oh, yeah.
So understand, though, that when we...
Even if I don't know it, I'll make it up.
Yeah. Understand, though, that as we go and we take our personal experiences out and our understandings of fun, of roleplay, of conflict, of exploration, of new people joining you at the table, that your choice can make it both easier and more difficult in the long run to experience more D&D. You might be a functional expert on how you play the game, but not on how the next table does.
That's so true.
Right? And so our yucks, our yums, all those sorts of things, our mandates, our expectations, our boundaries, right? Some places are hard and fast and very clear. Some places are loosey-goosey, wild westy.
Mm-hmm.
These are both fun tables to play at if you agree to play at them.
Yep.
And you need to make sure that the player, because you're part of the group or the community here, this is how I'm talking, you need to make sure that the player is good with these things and is okay with these things. And once again, this is about being genuine, but also understanding that they may not have as many beanbags to throw at people in the forest.
Lightning bolt.
Or hacky sacks. I can't remember. Hacky sacks. Whatever. Lightning bolts. They were lightning bolts.
Come on.
And this is okay. This is fair. This is wonderful.
Dabu.
Dabu. How big's the room? A dabu. Awesome. So awesome.
Yeah.
So do that. Get out there, get back to basics, and be curious. Like you said, try maybe someone else's game style that's still acceptable, right? You still talked about it. You still meet the criteria.
You might like
your criteria. You might like a new way to have fun, right? A new enjoyment level to the pastime.
Well, I tell my kid all the time, you have to try it before you say you don't like it.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And your kid is very young. And we're talking about food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks for clearing that up.
No problem. Yeah. No problem. It's not like, let's go whitewater rafting.
Try it before you say no.
Try it before you say no.
That's good.
Yeah. So give, over communicate. Make sure that just like when we're talking about subgroups and cliques, that you are making your honest intentions clear.
Yes.
Right? Don't hold back for the sake of hiding something, right?
Or getting along, or...
Yeah, is it a free haircut or is it a cult? I don't know, but you should tell me. You should be honest with me.
Here, I'm giving you a drink because I want you to feel welcome in this group. Right?
Exactly.
I'm giving you something so you'll get something back.
Right? Unless it's like Chinese tea, right? Where you fill up the cup and that tells them that they... or no, you leave the cup half empty or something? Whatever it is.
Like, you never drink it all.
It's about like refilling it, because if you refill it full, then they don't want you to continue. Anyway,
I don't know about
tea has so many rules to it. But this is go back to basics. Go back and see how you can enjoy these things, because you will find new things that you like and you will find new things that you don't like, and that will incorporate it in. Maybe you're a murder hobo and you want to be a Hamlet hobo. That could happen.
Yep.
I don't know that Hamlet hobo is a real thing, but I kind of want it to be.
He was a prince.
He was. And then he was a king. Which brings me, since I just made up something, to remind everyone out there, to remind you, new things are new. Just in case you forgot.
What? Wait. Are you saying that new things?
New things
are
new. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Simple in concept.
I don't think I understand.
We forget that we are embracing these new things. This is where I'm shifting from community and I start talking. I start to talk about cohesion, my third C. I think cohesion, and in general, we are all bad at communicating. Actually, correction, we can all improve on communicating.
Yes.
And we should be sticky.
I thought we were slimy.
We were slimy, and then we dried out a little bit. Now we're sticky.
I can't. I slid in here. Now oh, God.
Sliding them DMs. So,
and sticking them.
I think when we're talking about cohesion, what is cohesion so that we all understand? I'm going to set a scope here for this last bit.
Well, it's like when two Hesians stick together, right?
Two Hesians?
Yeah, more than one Hesian.
Hello, fellow Hesians.
It's like Hesian together.
That's
cohesion.
That is cohesion.
It's like cooperation, operations together.
Oh, maybe. I never thought about it that way. I guess
is Hesian a word?
Hesian.
It should be a word.
Yeah. Transhesian.
Let us know. Post-Hesian?
Pre-Hesian. Cohesion is defined normally as the action or fact of forming a united whole, or the sticking together of particles of the same substance. So you're right. Two Hesians, that's a cohesion.
As opposed to adhesion, which is different things sticking together.
That's very, just being sticky by itself. So why is this important? Well, this is important for the kind of maintenance and establishing that foundation beyond the initial interaction. This is you finding common themes, right? Two of the same substance to join together to build more of a relationship on, right? Not just necessarily with that one power individual in the group, but with everybody eventually. Right. And as a pro tip, you should probably already have a really big layer of common ground, being that you're a TTRPG player going to a TTRPG table. And now you never have a reason to not be talking.
What should I talk about? Time
that new
TTRPGs,
rules, that spell, how you use this ability.
That new episode of Caffeine and Cantrips.
Right? Just dropped. It's so hot right now.
Look how many times I subscribed and liked. What about you?
We can see that on off. It's kind of fun. Leave it on though. So when we get there, you have a big set of common ground.
Yes.
Now, what happens if that's not enough? Maybe because you're brand new and you don't know the topics to talk about, right?
Right.
Well, then you should get to building more of the same thing.
Good.
Like this.
Sorry.
The same memories.
Yes.
And now you have, once again, two things that are the same. We were both in that RP scene. We were both in that combat. And that shared memory can be that common ground to build on.
Well, even everyone was new to the game at some point.
Yeah.
Right? You have that in common. Everyone's played for the first time.
Everybody had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is probably a great story to share in your comments. In my comments? In your comments? In our comments.
Co-comments.
Cohesion. So it...
comments together.
Oh. Comments.
Oh. Mints together.
Or mints. Double M.
Mints again. Remints.
So
Post-mints. Pre-mints.
When we get to trying to create memories together, I think an additional thing that we can do to really cement them in and pull in an emotional component to this common ground is to celebrate milestones. Now, you can do this whether you're the group, you're the new person, you're the guy outside clapping. You know, these things, man, I would love to have
from
one
the
of those.
window.
From the window, looking in, he's just clapping on the hill.
That D20.
So good. So good. I think that should be a service that you could hire.
Slow clap from outside.
But you just like signal them and then, this celebrating perhaps the first time that they've leveled up with the party, the first time that they have uncovered or they've solved a challenging riddle or puzzle or maybe a lore thing from their backstory. Maybe it is a role play moment where they finally like engaged in the level of role play or the sharing or the vulnerability of that.
Or the first time you try to voice.
The first time you try to voice,
Yeah.
right? Celebrate those at either level of the PCs or the players.
Both if you can.
Both of you can, preferably players if you can do only one, right?
Yeah.
And make sure that they know that you appreciate them. Express that true gratitude for being there, for sharing that part of the story.
Right.
Right. And that will make a memory and that will create a feeling, a warm, fuzzy feeling, because better than a cold beer is a warm feeling.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So these sorts of things you can actively do, regardless of if you're the person or the group, but to build that and to maintain that kind of bond by constantly adding more and additional good feelings.
Well, and like most things, at first when you start doing it, it'll feel contrived.
It might.
Like, it feels like it's just a thing that I do. But the more you do it, the more natural it'll be. And then after a while, your group will just be that celebratory group.
Yes.
Right.
And that's good.
Yeah.
I think if you've played at multiple tables, one where everybody cheers when somebody rolls a nat 20, it's then everybody's nat 20.
Or everyone goes, oh, to that nat 1, right?
Right. You've now created something bigger than yourself. And the whole is greater than the parts.
Well, I'm still playing when you're rolling.
Yes.
So we're always playing together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm invested in what it is that you got going on, right? Super, super powerful and impactful and awesome that you can build these things, especially with mostly strangers. And then we can go back and we can talk about it and then we can build on those conversations and then we can make more and we can have more conversations. And it's just an awesome steamroller, like that little kind of ball that starts the avalanche.
Like a snowball.
Like a snowball, that ball. Love that ball.
You love the balls.
Now, as we get going on, I heard him. As we continue moving forward, because new things are new, we will uncover communication challenges. It's invariable that you'll come to things that you did not expect or plan for. You have to find them. You have to deal with them. I talked previously about practicing resolutions, about finding common ground, about burying the hatchet. And this is why, because when you come up to something unexpected, you now have the skills and the ability to deal with it.
Yes.
Right? You've practiced these things. You've used the rules to like mitigate conflict and the player level. And now we're going to actively use those because it's important to remain strong, remain stuck together. Cohesion.
Cohesion. Together.
Multihesion. So there's
ultrahesion.
Okay. So we want to, in this case, really go forth and do the things and show the things on how we're going to mitigate and find resolution. And if possible, we're going to do this using a positive version of social proofing.
I love it. I love it.
It's so dangerous, but it's so good, right?
What's social proofing again?
Social proofing is where you tell it. It's your thing.
I forget.
Oh, you're social proofing me right now. Essentially, social proofing, correct me if I'm wrong, is where the group in a collaborative manner either promotes or denounces an activity or an example of that activity to show the new person what is and isn't acceptable.
Right, and it applies pressure to that new person to also follow along.
Right, and so what you want to do in a positive, proactive way is to show them how you communicate, how you make sure that the other person understands what's going on. How poor communication isn't going to fly, isn't acceptable. Hey, everybody needs to know if you can make it to the next session on Thursday. You can't wait until an hour before to let us know that it didn't work for you this whole time. Right? That's not acceptable.
Well, it's like if a new person comes into the country, like Canada or the United States, and back where they came from, it's okay to let your kids pee in the sink in the public toilets. Like, it's fine. No one bats an eye. If you do that here, people will be like, what? You need to stop that. No one does that here, right? And that's the social proof, and you will naturally stop. Right? So
well, because you'll feel weird. You'll feel outside the group.
Well, all of a sudden you feel like it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a social proof telling you it's wrong, pressuring you to stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that either that's perhaps a miscommunication or a misunderstanding, right? These happen and they can arise at any time for any reason between anyone.
Yes.
Right? Long friends of 116 years can still be like, that's my ego. It can happen. It can totally happen. It is something that is a surmountable object. We can get over this. This barrier is not complete because we have the tools to take it down.
Well, humans have been doing that forever.
Exactly.
Well, forever as long as we've been around. Right?
Exactly.
Because that's...
Exactly.
In some ways, unfortunately, it's the fate of being sort of self-determined creatures, right? As humans, where we sort of define our own experience in reality and therefore experience it differently from each other. And like how I see and experience reality is different from how you see and experience reality. And the fact that I can't tell what you're experiencing from my point of view, I can only tell what I'm experiencing.
Right.
There will inevitably be things that are what they are, but we define them differently from a different point of view. And that's where, through no fault of yours or mine, the miscommunication comes from and the problems arise. Right? Like, how dare you bring that into my house? What's a knife? I need to cut.
Yeah, I brought some apples to cut up for dessert.
No, that's a murder weapon.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, problem solving. You need to talk us out.
Yes. Yeah. And that comes through communicating, right?
Yes.
So we forget to keep those skills sharp most of the time, right? It's not something that comes up often. Have you communicated effectively
They
today?
don't teach us that in school either.
No.
Yeah.
No, they don't. And it then falls to us. We need to be proactive in our own skills. And we forget that sometimes. And we also then create something else like shame or blame in our own minds that others might not feel for us. They're like, oh yeah, I've had a bad rolling day too.
Oh, self-shame.
Yeah, and that person's like, oh, I'm letting everyone down.
I love it. I do that all the time.
You must love it. You do it all the time.
It's like my second most done activity, guys. Just put it out there.
Guess what's number one? Get in the comments. This is a true, what's your number one? This is a true statement, right? We do feel things that other people are not putting into us. We are perceiving and we're judging them to have these feelings to essentially validate our own feelings for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it gets messy. Or you could just say, hey man, I've been rolling terrible today. And they go, it happens to everybody. Ugh. And that's it.
Get good.
Get good. Stop sucking. They could, or more than likely, they will empathize and be like, hey, it's okay, man. Try and, I don't know, throw them in the microwave.
Cheat, you mean?
The dice.
No, cheat, not murder.
The dice.
Yes, you cheat the dice by putting in the microwave.
Why is that cheating?
Oh, because it melts it a little bit. And then that one side is heavier.
Oh, they go in jail. Whatever, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not long enough to melt them.
Why are you putting them? You just putting them in there for jail?
Just like, hey, 5 seconds. Beep. Anyway.
5 seconds of cheating.
Or the freezer. Put them in the freezer. Then they maintain their shape.
Right.
Those slightly smaller.
Caffeine and Cantrips. We teach you how to cheat in D&D.
Weighting the die through. Anyway. So don't let your players next to the microwave. Anyway. So when we forget that these things are on us to up our skills, and we forget that other people don't feel the things that we think they feel about us, right? These two things can lead to a very dark place. But if we just talk about it, if we just, what's his number one thing, guys? If we just have that clear and open communication, all of that goes away. It's all gone.
It's on the way.
Because we've dealt with it. We've resolved that conflict.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and you come out on the other side in a better place than you were before.
Yeah. And, while you were not working on communication, the problems were at the gym getting stronger.
It's true, right? Like, which wolf are you feeding?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The scumbag wolf or the productive wolf?
Yeah. Scumbag wolf. He gets all the chips. Another thing that could be very interesting for your table and could be happening.
Yeah.
That might be a barrier or a friction point that you need to figure out some resolution on. This is barrier point or Wayne's World stuff. Is a cultural difference. And when I say cultural
difference.
It's like emotional damage. When I say cultural difference, it could be a different nationality, a different religion, a different ideology, a different outlook, whatever it is. There are individual things that make us unique, and there are individual things that make us terrible. And we believe in our better angels generally, or at least I do.
I don't.
So how can we treat this? If we're communicating and we understand and we want to share these things, then we should celebrate our differences, right?
Yeah.
We should find that common ground. We should find how we can make and create that cohesive moment between us to build these things. We should trust that uniqueness that they are bringing to the table, whatever foundation that they're coming from that's different than yours, can provide them with that unique, beautiful story. And that's the real magic of TTRPGs, is the stories that you tell and you remember and you love and you come back to and talk about.
Everyone has something to bring to the table.
Everyone has something.
There are things about you that are unique to your table.
And
for sure.
So everyone can create... At least one. So everyone can create that real magic, right? And that's a really, really good way to create hooks, to create inroads, to essentially share a story or a story format or a trope that isn't in your wheelhouse. You get to experience somebody else who is a functional expert in what they know, right?
Yes.
And yes,
functional expert in myself. Except I don't know myself. Why do I do these things?
That I'm an expert in not knowing.
That's true.
That's therapy. So this isn't, because remember, we're doing this with honest and open and good intentions. Yes. This is not cultural appropriation. This is not theft. This is not subtraction.
Yes.
What we are doing is we are trying to create a collaborative experience, and we are sharing together. And if we are clearly communicating and we do have that pure intent, an honest intent, then it can't be. It's not a theft of things. It's not a...
No, I'm not taking what's yours and making it mine. I am celebrating what is yours and what's great about what you have.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's only going to create more magic. It's only going to create better things at the table and more interesting things. It might even make it so that you go in and you go, I don't understand this thing. I'm actually going to go research it and figure out what this is in the real world, because this is super cool, right? It could also be a very small divide. So perhaps like Eastern and Western literature. When dealing with the supernatural in the West, you fight because you can win.
Yes.
In the East, the spirits always win because you're just a man.
They're always ghosts, and there's nothing you can ever do about them except lose.
Yeah. You can choose how to lose, but you lose, right? Even if you run, you lose. Like it's all bad news. It's all bad news.
Yeah. There's never like a happy ending to any of those.
Nope. Even in something where we look at it as very kind of similar things like Canadian literature and American literature, right? Canadians are about the Canadian identity versus Americans generally have something like the American dream.
Yes. In their classical literature, actually, there's pervading symbols of each of them.
Okay.
The American symbol in their classical literature has always been the frontier, right? Like going west, what's over there, discovering progress, right? Canadian literature has always been the prevailing symbol is survival because of the weather, right? Surviving the winter, right? It's bearing through hardship until you get through the other side.
Yeah, man against nature, man against the world.
Right.
Yeah.
The UK is all about the island, that self-contained.
Splendid isolation.
Yeah.
So how do those stories take a moment as you're watching somebody work their magic at the table and go, why did they make that choice? What foundation did they do or make this decision based on? I would have done it this way, but they went that way for a reason.
But they are a scholar and a poet.
But they are doing their best.
What awesome thing are they doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What can I learn from this moment?
Yes.
What can they teach me? What can I, make myself better with? Right. And these sorts of things are going to create those lasting, cohesive bonds that are going to make. I learned so much from you. Right? You're almost like a mentor at the table. You're almost like the guy that. But this is a real thing.
Yes,
that we can experience, and perhaps that makes you dive into Eastern mythological stories. You're like, why do they always lose? What do you mean they can't always lose? They always lose. They always lose. So that's a super interesting thing.
Yes.
Now, all of this is to say that I think in conclusion, the most important thing is to maintain your boundaries, right? We talked about expectations in the session 0. Don't necessarily let the ship drift off course if you're witnessing it, right? You're finding those issues. You're being proactive in this. Sometimes it's okay to say, hey guys, we ain't so sticky anymore because what's going on, I don't really like. You're kind of playing now in my veil area and getting close to my lines.
Right. Like I'm being sticky, I'm being slimy, but now you're bringing in Super Mario Koopas. And that's not the game that I signed up for.
And I said, no Nintendo theft.
Right.
Yeah. Nintendo also said no Nintendo theft.
Them Koopas.
But them Koopas. This is exactly right.
Don't steal my Koopas.
Right? We need to keep checking in to make sure that everything is on course.
Yes.
Right? Now, conversely, if what is happening is you are naturally exploring the campaign and perhaps your previous established boundaries, they have been not tested, but explored. And you're like, oh, this is kind of okay. Like, I do appreciate looking at, or these people do have my respect and trust.
Right.
And I feel safe here to go into these things that I wouldn't necessarily. And I said no to strangers, but now they're my friends. And it's okay that we go a little bit more into this, right? Checking back to making sure that the guidelines that were previously established practicing communication to say when you're getting close and when you're going over, whether you're using those safety tools or you're just generally mentioning what's going on.
It's just an argument for more session zeros plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly. Right. These create meaningful resolution. And that's the main ingredient in continuing to build trust.
Yes.
Because like the stock market, your trust should always go up overall.
Keep going.
Well, you can have like rocky sections where it's kind of like going up and down. But in general, these people that you're building long-term relationships with, the trust level is rising.
Yes.
Yes, because it's faith-based. Because I believe I trust you.
Yeah, it's big confidence game. Anyways,
pray to the money.
That's not. I'm not going to get into that.
We are not a financial institution here at Caffeine&Cantrips.
We give you advice about D&D and life.
Yeah, we throw beanbags at each other in the forest. So
taboo, invest, and be.
So, because trust is always going up, right? Understand that when you're coming up to these sensitive topics, when you're coming up to boundaries, when they're being challenged, I suppose, in a fair and respectful way.
Mm-hmm. Fair and respectful, yes.
Understand that you can say no, right? You have your safety tools.
Yes.
You don't have to go along to get along.
Mm-hmm.
You can accept that what is good for the gander is not good for the goose, and you can go lay eggs elsewhere. This is okay. And the reason I think that this is okay is, and I know that this doesn't exist necessarily, but I think that every table should have kind of social safety tools and not just personal safety tools.
Okay.
Right? So
what do you mean by social safety tools?
What is happening in the group is all still within their boundaries. They're still okay.
Mm-hmm.
They still believe, and they're not, this is once again, not trying to attribute malice or like trying to be toxic or whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
This is just naturally where the story is going. It's getting closer and closer to the caves of spiders. And I said, no, I can't deal with that. Right. It is okay to say, hey guys, I would like to pull the battleship and turn it back in a direction that is more pleasurable to me for more fun, because my fun is being impacted. And for them to say like, this is still pretty much the course that we want to go on. It's okay to walk away from that.
Right.
With your head held high, no shame, right?
No. And if it gets to that point, it may be best anyways to walk away.
Absolutely.
So that you can find the table that meets your needs and can fulfill your type of fun, and you can fulfill their type of fun. And that table that you're leaving can find someone else to come in.
Sure.
To add more to the spider fun or whatever fun they want to do, right? You both deserve the tables that fit you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And so maybe that 1% difference that you saw at the beginning of the campaign over time became this massive change, right? And it was okay. You agreed to it. But then when you come back and you say, hey, look, it went somewhere that I didn't foresee it. I can't be on board with this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find resolution, right? It just, they won't or you won't give. Yeah, it's okay to be brave.
Yes.
And to walk away and find a better, more awesome table.
Yeah.
That doesn't try to be cool. They just are.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. I think that's, and I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on social interaction or how groups work or how to create rules to govern and or create safe spaces.
But you did stay at Holiday Inn Express last night.
So I did. No, I didn't. So yeah, I do think though that there is an idea that like almost that there is a greater good in some kind of cases, or there is a greater story that people want to tell and they're okay with it. And you being not okay is okay.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just like, hey, the themes you're exploring or the style that we're now doing isn't for me. I'll see you next campaign.
Yeah.
Right. We'll test again. And I know more now. I can make a more educated decision. I can eloquate my needs better. I can communicate better. I've learned some skills. I'm going to keep them sharp. Catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is okay.
Yeah.
This is okay. And so I think I want to close with that it is fine to leave the table. It is fine for the table to outgrow you or you to outgrow the table.
Yes.
Right? These things happen. Life is complicated and interesting, and our needs and wants change.
Mhm.
And so being respectful, communicating clearly, sometimes that doesn't put you at the same table.
Yeah. Well, and it lets you know that this is not the table for you.
Yeah. So
Oh, there you go.
let us
Another long one.
be happy.
15 inches.
18. It's shrunk.
Mm.
So let us know. Jump in the comments. I was in the pool. And let us know maybe your great experience, your terrible experience, maybe what you did to turn a terrible experience great. A great experience terrible.
Yeah.
Let us know. Or maybe if you're having issues, ask a question in the comments.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm experiencing this. What do you think? And the Dungeon Master will get back to you because he won't let us touch the keyboard.
Right?
Yeah.
Wicked. That was super fun. Hopefully you guys liked the talk. It was a beefy one.
Yeah, and liked the talk.
Right? And liked the episode. But this has been Caffeine and Cantrips.
I was Byron.
And I'm Sean.
And we will see you, friend, next time.
Or else.
It went 7 minutes
Longer. Well, you hadn't finished yet either, though.
I never finish first.
I
I am a gentle and kind DM.
I never finish first. I'm the first in and the last out. Every time.
I'm the TM, baby.
And a great lover.
I always let them finish their story for a great love. Yes, that was implied.